Since Russia stepped into Ukraine in 2014, escalating to a full-blown invasion in 2022, Poland's military strategy hit turbo mode. Joining NATO back in 1999, it wasn't clear Poland was gunning to be a major military force in Europe. But times have changed. Poland is on a mission, boosting its defense spending to an unprecedented 4% of its GDP by 2024. That's a bigger slice of the budget pie than any of its NATO allies are dishing out, dedicating more than half to acquiring the latest gear. But this isn't just about numbers, it's a clear signal. Poland is determined not to stay in the shadows of its powerful neighbors. With eyes on becoming the leading military force in Europe, Poland is upping its game, investing heavily in modernizing its arsenal. But ambition and reality don't always align smoothly. As Poland gears up, let's dive into the transformation of its forces, the goal to become Europe's top dog in defense, and challenges this ambitious leap forward entails. Poland isn't just another piece on NATO's chessboard, it's a key player. But what makes it stand out? As Europe's sixth largest economy and the heavyweight on NATO's eastern flank, Poland's role is more than just national defense. It's about being a steadfast guardian for its smaller allies, like the Baltic states. The nation's military strength is not merely for show, it's a critical component of NATO's collective security, offering crucial support to those on the front lines of potential conflicts. Geography shapes destiny, especially in military terms, and Poland's prime location serves as a crucial chess piece in NATO's strategic playbook. Here's why. Poland sits on the southern side of the Suwalki Gap, the roughly 100-kilometer border between it and Lithuania that straddles the trajectory between the heavily fortified Russian enclave of Kaliningrad in the west and Moscow's vassal state of Belarus in the east. A strong Polish military is therefore crucial to the security of the Baltic states, as a pincer movement between Kaliningrad and Belarus could cut them off from their NATO allies by land. Although Sweden's official entry into the alliance in March 2024 has since relieved some of the security pressures by opening an alternative route of supply and reinforcement through the Baltic Sea. Even without such a pincer movement, Poland faces threats from both the north and east in Kaliningrad and Belarus, both of which host some of Russia's nuclear weapons on their respective soils. The Poles do not have the luxury of being buffered as the Western European countries in NATO do. Warsaw must have a strong military to provide deterrence and, if need be, self-defense. The Polish military in some ways resembles Ukraine's, with a mixture of Western and Soviet-era equipment, although because of its long-time NATO membership, Poland is in a stronger starting position to complete its modernization and integrate the new equipment with modern doctrine. As of January 2024, the Polish military is ranked 21st out of 145 countries listed in the Global Firepower Index. Its current military is composed of 202,100 active personnel and 350,000 in reserve. Poland plans to increase the size of its active duty army to 300,000 by 2035, which would make it the largest army in Europe. The new troops will enable Poland to create 6 armored divisions. In comparison, France and Germany only have 2 of these, while the United Kingdom has just 1. There is an additional 50,000 paramilitary troops for Warsaw to call upon. In the event of a wider confrontation which calls for conscription, Poland has a total population of about 40 million, with 18.6 million in available manpower reserves. Of these, 15.2 million are considered fit for military service. About 455,000 people reach military age on an annual basis. According to the Global Firepower Index, Poland has 612 tanks in its fleet, with 459 of these being ready for service. Poland is gradually discarding the Soviet-era tanks in its stockpile, which have proven less than optimal for modern warfare. Instead, it's donating these tanks to Ukraine and using the funds for its military buildup to buy 366 Abrams tanks from the United States. 250 of these will be the newest variety, the M1A2 SEP version 3. The remainder will be of the older but still capable M1A1 FEP variety. In addition to the American Abrams, Poland is also ordering 1,000 K2 Black Panther main battle tanks from South Korea. An initial batch of these tanks have been delivered to Poland as of 2022, and the rest of them will have been delivered by 2025. Poland has obtained a license from the South Koreans to produce 820 of the tanks from domestic manufacturers. The license will be valid for 10 years and be a welcome way for Warsaw to increase its homegrown defense manufacturing capability. Indeed, voices within the country are warning that the domestic defense industry should not be allowed to atrophy because of all the purchases of foreign military equipment. The South Korean license helps to ensure that outcome will be avoided. Poland has 13,956 other military vehicles in service, with 10,467 of these being ready for a deployment. Poland plans to add 1,000 of its domestically produced Borsuk infantry fighting vehicles to its fleet, alongside an additional 400 auxiliary versions, i.e. specialist vehicles based on the Borsuk chassis design. Warsaw's order of these units is meant to replace the Cold War-era BWP-1, a domestic redesign of the Soviet BMP-1. The Borsuk has a remote-controlled turret armed with a 30mm cannon and 2 launchers for Spike LR anti-tank guided missiles. As a secondary armament, the Borsuk comes with a coaxial 7.62mm machine gun. The vehicle is capable of amphibious operations and propelled by 2 water jets in such conditions. It can cross lakes and rivers while remaining afloat. The price tag is about $6.6 million per unit. Here's something you may not have known before. Poland is already ranked 15th in artillery on the Global Firepower Index. Although it's lacking in towed artillery with 0 pieces, it has 525 units of self-propelled artillery, such as its domestically produced 155mm Crab howitzer. 394 of its self-propelled artillery pieces are considered to be ready. It plans to add 648 South Korean K9A1 self-propelled howitzers to this force. The new units would place Poland at number 10 on the GFI's listing of global artillery power. In terms of rocket artillery systems, Poland has 211 MLRS units, with 158 of them being fit for duty. Warsaw is planning to supplement this force with 500 American HIMARS systems and 288 South Korean Chunmoo MLRS systems. Such a force will bring Poland's ranking in the related index from 25th to 5th, even surpassing the United States at its current ranking of 7th with 694. It's unclear if Poland plans to add any towed artillery units into its military. While Poland is traditionally a land power by geographic necessity, it's not neglecting its naval forces as part of its arms buildup. Poland can afford to rely more on its allies in the Baltic, something which Sweden's entry into NATO, in particular, enhances greatly, but it does not want to take any chances. Poland's navy is small, with 45 total assets. Most of these consist of its 21 mine warfare ships. It has 2 frigates, as many corvettes, 3 patrol vessels, and 1 submarine. Poland plans to add to this force. 3 new Michnik-class frigates are on order in a $3.8 billion deal struck between the Polish military and the British defense contractor Babcock. The 3 new frigates will be based on the Royal Navy's Type 31 design. The British expect the Type 31 to enter service by 2031. These frigates will carry a crew of 105 sailors and displace about 6,000 tons. The Type 31's main armament will consist of 32 cells for various types of missiles. To back the missiles up, these frigates will also be armed with a 57mm gun and 2 40mm guns. 12.7mm machine guns serve as ancillary weapons. Poland isn't aiming to build a blue water navy like the United States or even the United Kingdom and France, but that's because it recognizes its needs, which are to provide security in the Baltic. Poland's new frigate will serve in their purpose of being part of NATO's local naval capabilities. The new ships will also be prepared as part of a NATO force to counter the new ships Russia is commissioning into its navy, which also tend to be lighter frigates and corvettes, as its heavier Soviet-era destroyers and cruisers gradually get retired. Moscow cannot afford to build adequate replacements, as seen with the troubled Lyda-class destroyer project. To support its army and navy buildup, Poland is also looking to the skies. It ranks 26th in the world's air fleets, with a total of 468 aircraft. 351 of these are considered fit for service. 59 of these aircraft are fighters, and 44 of them are ready for deployment. Many of Poland's fighter aircraft are Soviet-era 4th-generation fighters like the MiG-29. Warsaw has steadily donated these aircraft to Ukraine and is building an air force of modern fighter jets. It already has 48 upgraded F-16C fighters in its arsenal. It plans to have at least 32 F-35 Lightning II aircraft as part of its vision for the new Polish Air Force. The F-35 fleet in particular will make Poland the sentinel of NATO's eastern frontier and give it an advantage over any Russian air attack. The F-35 purchases will mean that Poland has more 5th-generation fighters than even Russia, which has only acquired 22 Su-57 Felon aircraft as of December 2023. Russia plans to get to a fleet size of 76 of these aircraft in the coming years, but because of sanctions, this will be a difficult challenge. The F-35 is also far stealthier than the Su-57, giving the Polish fleet an advantage in modern long-range air battles. Poland plans to acquire an additional 48 Fa-50 Golden Eagle light aircraft from South Korea. The Fa-50 can serve as a supersonic trainer to transition Polish pilots to the F-35, but that's not all this aircraft can do. The Fa-50 Block 10 and Block 20 fighters that Poland has ordered have improved systems, such as the AN/AAQ-33 Sniper targeting pod, manufactured by Lockheed Martin. This device permits far more offensive capabilities for the Golden Eagle, such as the ability to deploy laser-guided munitions and beyond visual range air-to-air missiles, such as the AIM-120 AMRAAM, the Meteor, and potentially the AIM-260 JATM. At shorter ranges, the Fa-50 can use the AIM-9 Sidewinder series in the air and various types of air-to-surface missiles for ground attack missions. For even longer-ranged ground attack missions, the South Korean military has begun reviewing whether it will be possible to arm the Golden Eagle with a variant of Germany's Taurus air-launched cruise missile. If it's possible, the Poles would likely show great interest. These missiles have a range of about 500 kilometers and give the Poles the ability to threaten Kaliningrad and Russian bases in Belarus from afar. In addition to fighter aircraft, Poland has 34 attack aircraft, with 26 of these being considered ready by the Global Firepower Index. Poland has 49 transport aircraft, with 37 fit for service. It has 107 trainers, with 80 of them being considered fit, although this number will go up thanks to the arrival of the Fa-50. Poland has no aircraft refueling tankers, which limits the range of its air force, although these are not needed for Poland's defense-centric mission. In the worst case, Warsaw might think that it can rely on its American ally to provide these services. There are 9 special mission aircraft in the Polish Air Force, with 7 being fit for service. Finally, the Poles have a fleet of 215 helicopters, which ranks them 21st in the world. 161 of these helicopters are ready for service. 30 of the helicopters are attack varieties, which ranks Poland 20th in the world. 23 of these aircraft are considered fit for service. That number is about to shoot up in a major way. In September 2022, Poland ordered 96 AH-64E Apache helicopters from the United States in a contract worth $12 billion. This is enough for Warsaw to create 6 helicopter squadrons. Poland will also be boosting its air defense systems, something which the war in Ukraine has proven to be an urgent necessity, since the country's existing systems are mostly composed of outdated Cold War-era equipment. Warsaw plans to purchase $5 billion worth of Patriot air defense missiles from the United States, with 2 batteries of 16 launchers in the first phase. In the second phase, Poland will receive 6 additional batteries with improved radar offering 360-degree coverage. To further strengthen its air defenses, the Poles have made an initial order for $2.4 billion worth of British CAM missiles. Poland's 3 new frigates will also be capable of launching these missiles. Poland is also looking to improve its shorter-range air defenses. As part of this project called Naru, the Polish military will receive 23 short-range air defense batteries, comprising a total of almost 400 launchers, with missiles that can hit targets between 25 and 50 kilometers away. The Ukrainians have shown in recent months that these systems can also be used in an offensive capacity. Deploying them strategically near the front has allowed Ukraine to shoot down 11 Russian aircraft in 11 days in February 2024. If Russia was hesitant to use its aircraft against the Ukrainians, Poland's new air defense systems will be that much more of a deterrent for Moscow's plans. Because of Poland's economic growth, it's in a much better position to afford a modern military than the rest of its NATO allies in Eastern Europe. However, that does not mean that the new armament program will be easy for Warsaw to handle, and there is no guarantee of success in the way the Polish government envisions. For example, just because Poland desires to spend a lot of money on acquiring new equipment does not mean it will easily be able to integrate it into its armed forces. Training and adjustment will come with their own challenges. The money is also not guaranteed. Paying for the new firepower will be challenging despite Poland's newfound wealth, even with a $2 billion loan from the United States. $60 million of this American loan is provided as foreign military financing, which supports urgent procurement of defense articles and services from the United States. This $60 million will help to ensure that Poland can get more favorable terms for the total loan, but we will need to see if it can actually do so. Poland also recently experienced a change in government, with the previous ruling Law and Justice Party losing a few dozen seats in the country's parliament and Donald Tusk emerging as the new prime minister as part of a coalition. The military buildup was a central policy of the previous government. The previous deputy prime minister, the influential Jarosław Kaczyński, had planned on spending as much as 5% of the country's GDP on defense within the next decade. Although the invasion of Ukraine has made the necessity for a strong defense clear, especially for the historically aware Poles, it remains to be seen if the new government will carry through the build-up to the extent that the Law and Justice Party had planned. Perhaps the bigger challenge that comes with the military build-up for Poland is what Warsaw will have to give up in exchange for the increase in the capability of its armed forces. The new military spending, Zulda warns, by necessity assumes an increase in GDP. While Poland has averaged a growth rate of nearly 4% since the end of the Cold War in 1991, that's not guaranteed to remain the case over the time span that Warsaw envisions for its arms buildup, especially since GDP growth tends to decline once a country is more developed. In 2024, the International Monetary Fund estimated that Poland's GDP would grow at a rate of 2.5%, significantly down from earlier projections of 3.1%. Zulda's report also warns that Poland's level of military spending would see other priorities go unmet, with weaknesses in the healthcare and education sectors in particular. Inflation is also a problem. In January 2023, Poland had reached an inflation rate of a staggering 17.2%. Such high price increases add to political instability and questions the feasibility of such a large increase in military spending at the expense of civilian sectors of the economy. In his report, Zulda also raises doubts about the viability of the second source of funding for the military buildup, which is Poland's Armed Forces Support Fund. This entity is supposed to issue bonds to raise the money needed to make the equipment purchases and recruit the new troops. While there do not seem to have been problems with raising the money so far, one cannot guarantee that investors will be eager to buy such bonds forever. Perhaps the most challenging aspect of Poland's military buildup is in the recruitment of the personnel needed to fill the ranks and operate the new systems. Poland's population is shrinking. Demographers with the World Population Review expect Poland's current population of about 40 million to shrink to about 38 million people by 2035, the date Poland aims to complete the recruitment of its new 300,000-man active army. However, recruiting these new soldiers could be a challenge, and there will be a steadily shorter supply of available manpower in the coming years. The country's changing demographics will also require a proportional greater share of the national wealth to be spent on elder care, leaving less money available to support the military. Poland's rush to expand its military power in response to recent geopolitical developments is understandable. Its history with Russia is long and painful, and it's the most significant NATO country on the alliance's eastern flank. Its rapid military buildup would see it re-emerge as Europe's sentinel opposed to an expanding Russian presence, a task it was forced to carry out as late as 1920, when it stopped the expansion of Soviet Bolshevism into Eastern Europe with its crushing victory at the Battle of Warsaw that summer. Poland intends to make sure that it can do such a thing again. There is no doubt that the Polish military will be much more capable than it was by the end of the 2020s compared to when the decade began. Significant obstacles remain in the way of Poland acquiring as much military power as it wants to, however. What do you think of these obstacles? Will Poland be able to become the most powerful military on the European continent within the next decade, as it intends? Don't forget to let us know in the comments. Also, make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons to support the channel and for more military analysis from military experts. Now go and check out how Poland is preparing for full-scale war against Russia, or click this other video instead.